Welcome back to another episode of the Flogsville podcast here. It is round 7, gentlemen, and joining me, we've got our 3 coaches, really. We've got the crew back together, starting in order here on Zoom, on my Zoom anyway. We've got Coach Phenomenal. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Scott. Great to be with you tonight. Plenty of energy in the room tonight, I feel.
Oh, there's a real energy here. It's that time of year, boys. It's upgrade season. Hopefully no carnage. Joining me as well, it was a wonderful weekend for Coach of the Guns and Roses, Ben Bullymore, for a number of reasons. Cricket trip for the Gold Coast, floated in that number 1 overall spot, if you don't mind. Ben, how are you this evening?
Yes, thanks, Scotty. Great introduction. Yes, it was a weekend. Some really, really high highs and not much else to follow that. So, Saturday night and Sunday afternoon was quite interesting. But we're happy to be here as well.
Very good. And joining us back this week after a victory, if you don't mind, Coach of the Rabbitohs, Daniel, how are you?
Very well, Scott. Fantastic to be back. I'd say I had a similar weekend to Ben, just like a cheaper version. Cricket trip to Manham rather than the Gold Coast. And, just won my match up. Didn't go like number 1 in Australia or anything interesting. But, still a successful weekend. But, nice to be back. Completely coincidental that I was away last week. But, good to be back.
Excellent, boys. All right, let's get stuck into the round that was. And we suffered a little bit of carnage going into selections with a few red dots about, and then a couple of unfortunate injuries to Brodie Grundy, number 1, and then George Hewitt, and then about 1,000 rucks went down with injury, which was quite bizarre. But we managed to pull together, and most teams got a very good score. And top of the list for the first time this year was my boys with a 23.92. So good result for the Sarongs. Max Gawn, magnificent as the VC option, just did the business, boys. Apart from that, just some real great even contributions from my boys. It was a fantastic weekend.
Got to be happy with Greg Clark coming in off the bench, Scotty.
Yes.
For yourself, and 110. That'll do quite nicely, please. So that would have started the weekend off quite well for you.
I was kissed on the dick. No, very lucky there to get on Greg Clark. And it was great watching Friday night. I tell you what, sitting through that was horrific, that game. And to watch Greg Clark just get his tackles, his first moment really was the tackle and then the holding the ball. And there was a bit of yipla here at Old Beach Road, and I was quite happy. But yes, so very lucky to get Greg Clark on board, which I'm sure other coaches, now they've got the opportunity this week with no forced trades, will hopefully get him in. So yes, very, very good score. But we move on, boys. We move on. We can't talk about me all night. That's not fair. We've got to go to our spud of the week. Total eclipse of the heart, Daniel Healy with an 18.46 when every other team got over 2,000, boys. Just before we dive into what the hell happened, we're going to talk about a couple of things in 1846. The Mexican-American War began in 1846, so not a good time there. What else have we got here? There's not really that much else that happened in 1846, so not a good year for this segment. And I think we'll just move on and check out what happened with Total Eclipse of the Heart, boys.
Before you go into that, was that the last time St Kilda won the premiership, 1846?
Jeez. I'll tell you what, Port have one point win when St Kilda kick 18 points. Listen to how lippy they get. I'll tell you what, they get excited pretty quick, don't they, the old Power supporters? Just moving back to this side. This side stinks. There's some really average players floating around. Malcolm Roses, just quietly. Come on, Malcolm. That's ridiculous. There's not much more to be said, really. Mitch Duncan, not really doing the job for him, and just way too many rookies not performing for Hills.
I think a bit like the wash-up from the American-Mexican War. Seems like Daniel Healy sort of built a wall to keep the points out of his team this year. There's not a lot of points getting through for for total eclipse of the heart. So, yeah, still plenty of rookies on field there. McDonald, Hobbs, not getting it done. De Koning hasn't been a great scorer all year. Even, more seasoned operators like Mitch Duncan. Pretty disappointing there for Hills. So, bit of soul searching to do, and hopefully he can continue to build his team and remain some sort of relevance throughout the end of the season.
Anything more to add there, Ben, or just shall we move on?
Let's talk about more serious teams.
All right, and we shall. The Rabbitohs, Rabs, what a victory over the Crouching Lions, mate. You got a nice sort of 61-point victory. Looking at this matchup, it was a tale of the rookies, really, with some low scores on both sides. Big Maxi Gawn really as captain getting the job done for you, Rabs. Talk us through your victory here.
Gawn coming into the side this week for Grundy was ended up being a fairly significant with the Crouching Lions putting the VC on Oliver as well, getting a pretty decent score there. So Hobbs was obviously the one that he's been forced into putting Hobbs and De Koning on field, which has hurt him. I was forced into putting Rochelle on field, but just got away with a little bit more. And then Nasiah Wanganeen Malira decided to pull out his best game so far, which was very handy on the bench. And that got us home. So good to get a win against the Crouching Lions. Pretty good side.
Am I seeing this correctly with Brodie Grundy, the vice captaincy, with the captaincy on for Brett? Is that what's happening?
That is correct because
that is an extraordinary oversight, I wouldn't have thought, with Hewitt in the back line there as a potential looping option. But that's reasonably weird from my point of view. You keep an 800K player for missing for 3 months. But anyway, I'm sure Brett's got some sort of plan. But big win for these top Rabs. And
I feel just defending Brett, I can't remember his exact side going into the round, but I remember looking at it on Thursday, Friday, and I think he was in significant trouble with red dots.
Yep.
So he may have been forced to just going elsewhere with the trades in his defence.
Well, I could be mistaken, but that did seem bizarre. But important win for the Rabbitohs. The trip away did something, did it?
Well, Scotty was talking about West Coast and Richmond being unwatchable, but it's always a bit more watchable when you've had about 15 pints during it. So that always helps. Good win for the boys.
Excellent, mate. Shall we move on to our next matchup, boys? And it was the Sisterhoods coming in with a 23-03, the second highest score of the round, if you don't mind. A magnificent performance in what was a real bounce-back game after last week. A little bit of chat in the group from one coach of Hoffleberry FC, just to fire them up a little bit. And the Sisterhood certainly delivered, boys. Big win against Peter G. Let's have a look at the uniques. It is hard to go past one Josh Kelly, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. After a slow start to the season, things have come together for the Sisterhoods and Josh Kelly. As I said, after a slow start, is really starting to come good. Couple that with Cripper back into the side. The two big guns there, the two favourites, really leading the charge for the Sisterhoods. And with Hewitt there on the bench as a DNP to come back to the side, they're looking really strong at the moment. So I know, again, very, very, very competitive coaches, both of them. I'd probably advise against the tactics that Serge employed during the week of, sort of throwing a bit of bait out there, because I'm sure they'll use that to fire them up.
Definitely, boys. Speaking of, what were your thoughts just on Peter G having Max Gawn there as a VC, but going with Josh Dunkley now, a little bit similar to Brett. I think he didn't have much choice, but that was sort of the Sisterhoods were a little bit perplexed by that decision and talking with one of the coaches over the weekend. She was also not quite sure what happened there, boys. Can you provide any sort of explanation?
Not a positive one.
No shortage of DNPs on the bench either for King Kunta, which, beggars belief why I didn't use one of those players to loop Max Gawn's vice captaincy, but also a bit troubling for future rounds if he's got that many on the bench that aren't generating much cash for him. So one to watch there.
In his defence, he did only lose 16 points by having Josh Nutley. So it's not the end of the world, it's not, but it is a little bit perplexing still.
Now, very good, boys. We will move on. And our next matchup was, of course, the Midsfielders getting the job done against Hoffleberry FC. A bit of a surprise result, if I can say that properly. But Mids getting the job done, boys. This also, the captaincy choice here of Serge, it has to come into question. Ben Keys once again.
Oh.
Yes, sorry. On the counter side, what really fascinated me about this matchup is the fact that Mids clearly went to the effort of doing a VC loophole.
He did.
Which really blew my mind when I saw that. It was a very unexpected tactic there from Todd, and it's amazing how it's just turned out with immediate success against Serge. So, very unfortunate for Serge. Pretty unlike Todd to do something like that. But Max Gawn as a pod there, obviously standing out as well. But Keys, the captaincy, interesting sort of move, and interesting to note that Pendlebury pulling out quite a significant score after some of the comments last week for Serge, but still not enough to get the job done there for him.
Yeah, I was going to note that and give credit where it's due. Pendle's coming out with another big score. So, if you can continue that, then all power to Serge to continue selecting him in his side. Good selection there.
Anything more to add, boys? Maybe on Mids' side, his second win of the year, and the VC also surprised me. So hopefully this is the start of something for Mids.
Yeah, nothing else to really comment on there. Jay Gresham watch, one of the only coaches with him and providing another reasonable return in 86. But we'd like to see a little bit more of this attention to detail, I think, from Todd moving forward.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. Our next matchup, boys, was quite a close contest. The Burtons getting a much-needed win to stay in the 8. Team GC coming off a high last week with their first win, was unfortunate not to back it up here, boys. Talk us through this one. Luke Ryan, my God, he sticks out, doesn't he?
I seem to remember some commentary last week around Luke Ryan and having a really good score, which was unusual for this year, and it just proved on the weekend back to his 60s. So, unfortunately for Zach, he's not far off the pace there. Only, 61 points, and not the likes of Took Miller and Jack Crisp being uniques at 130 plus each. He's had some interesting uniques from his point of view, let him down in Treloar, and Coleman looks like a new name there for him. So 63, not quite enough. But I think for Burpin, he's rolling quite nicely. Your man, Tom there, Desclared, he's getting it done for Burton and for yourself. But, not many people missing out for Burt. Because is an interesting name in the back line there as D1. Maybe getting a little bit away with his previous week's performance. But, Greg Clark on field, bang, straight for Burton. He's done it well, so fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. As a fellow owner of Josh Gibcus, he'd be very pleased with that return. Obviously, after a lean start to the season, to start repaying the faith the last couple of weeks, he's been scoring really nicely. So, good to show repaying the faith there for Brad.
Yeah, exactly right. No, very good, boys. We'll say Team GC, Dylan Moore, what an outstanding individual he's been playing, and a fantastic pick by Zach. So, yeah, we love a unique pick, and he's certainly nailed one there. Not so much Luke Ryan. We will move on. Fenno, you unfortunately went down to the Glen Mountain Fan Club, so we'll have a bit of perspective on this with, of course, Rabs, you spending the weekend with Sean. First of all, we'll start with you, Tom. Talk us through your side, unfortunately, going down on the weekend.
Yeah, very disappointing, Scott. We obviously had, too many rookies on field. Phenomenal. Just not getting it done. Rochelle needs to go. Hobbs had him on field for a couple of weeks now as a downgrade. Thought he'd go all right after a solid debut outing. But yeah, sort of not returning too much so far. So yeah, bit of soul searching to do. We've going into the round, plenty of uniques obviously for Sean, and yeah, we love that about his side. I took Short's vice captaincy early, which I was pleased with at the time. However, obviously, yeah, Maps came along and blew that out of the water. So a few extra points for Sean there. But yeah, obviously spent a bit of time with him, Rabs, on cricket trip during the week, or over the weekend, I should say. Some interesting snaps coming through of him on the Sunday, I believe it was. A couple of tins of tuna in hand, sort of keeping up to date with the scores. Can you talk us through that one?
Yes, I think we just come back from Madam and just did a quick stop over at Sean's house on our way to Morphettvale to see Morphettvale take on Ranella. And yeah, hadn't had a lot to eat on the Sunday, so Sean decided to grab a couple of tins of tuna and a chocolate Easter egg that was left over at his house. So quite a peculiar choice, I would have thought. But I really rode the emotions of this over the weekend. Lots of interest in this from Sean. Lots of comments on the Friday bus trip of how easily he was going to win this matchup, and that quickly started to evaporate watching Jaden Short on the Friday night, although he was equally aroused by Greg Clark's performance. I think that's fair to say. And then, yeah, lots of comments, particularly about Noah Anderson on the Sunday, just really, getting around Noah's work. So, yeah, Sean very happy with his own work, it'd be fair to say, over the weekend. So, yeah, good win for the Glen Mountains.
Absolutely, boys. Huge win for them. As they move just outside the top 8. Fenno's still in a good position there in 5th place. All right, let's move on, boys. It was the Keys getting a nice win with a 2-2-4-9 over the B-Sharps boys. Jake, starting to lift it, paying attention as well, getting the job done here after having a few red dots over the weeks. Big Tom Stewart, hard to go past that, and Max Score and getting the job done.
Yeah, for him, probably the only letdown there is his captaincy choice in the Prey. Not really that when he's got some other options there for him, but it's hard to fault it. Tom Stewart there going absolutely nuts there at the gallery, and 157. I didn't know he was in that sort of league. So, but yeah, important win, and quite a nice side shaping up there for Jake. So. Yeah, don't mind the next sort of period for him, but as we know, he's a little bit up and down at the selection table sometimes, so we've got to keep an eye on that. But yeah, good win, and they move forward. So.
Some promising signs though for Jake. If you look at the just the creativity that he's sort of used across his side of Dacos sliding into the back line and Brody into the midfield, I would assume in an effort to get Clark on field after his score on Friday. Things looking quite promising. So he's got quite a strong side shaping up, and yeah, it could potentially be a bit of a threat for some sides along the way.
Definitely, boys. All right, we will move on swiftly to our next matchup. One moment, please, as the computer... here we go. No, this is this week. Bit of filler. Here we go. Oh, we've talked about Daniel. Let's not talk about that. My God, your Liberatore with another good score, boys. Just chalks up another win. Good signs for Hugh once again. Who performed well for him this week?
yeah, strong showing again from the back line from Hugh. Really solid in defence. We've got Short, Crisp, Dawson, and Sicily all going over that 100 mark, with Whitfield not far behind. So really strong in that back line, which is really set him apart from Hills there.
He's managed to cover any sort of donut territories there with fielding a full team. I was struggling a little bit, but just like everyone last week, covered it quite nicely and produced a fine score to get the win, and he keeps moving on. So
he sure does. All right. Speaking of moving on, we'll go to your matchup, Ben. The Guns N' Roses getting a nice victory over Smith's Crips. Just talk us through this one, Ben. And what was a pretty tight matchup, but you got the chocolates in the end there.
Yeah, I think the multiple injuries last week to Grundy and Sherry really put a halt to Millsy getting rid of Caldwell. That was really the him versus McComb was really the win for me. When you look at it, getting lucky with that rookie selection as opposed to Caldwell, who could have moved on. But again, no one for him going over 100 as his captain, as his uniques, and noticing that he didn't take the short captaincy to put on Cripps to get a whopping 2 extra points. So he tried a few things, and like a reasonable score, but unfortunately not enough with Callum coming home nicely on Sunday. So.
Hat watch.
Yes.
Yes, Hat watch is at 32 currently. It's when it did tick over number 1, we were free the beach club venue, and to say that was some nice scenes. So life was going okay at that stage. But couldn't think this could get any better. But hopefully we get back there at some stage to number 1. But I was just at 32 at the moment.
Excellent work, mate. We continue to support you all the way. The chat really blew up when you put through the screenshot. It was an exciting time. But we will move on. My matchup up against Sam Boys, the previously unbeaten McRae. You've done it again. Just a nice victory. Unfortunately for Sam, just didn't quite get enough out of his premiums. Jack McRae sticks out. And also, Will Brodie, just his last couple of weeks. He'll definitely bounce back this week against North Melbourne, and Mitch Duncan and DeGoey, of course, with the gastro. So just those guys not quite getting the job done for him, but definitely backing in Sam. He's got a good side there, so he'll be around the mark, boys.
I like how you just slid in the previously unbeaten there as well, Scotty. Obviously, pretty happy with your own work. bit of head bubble, the Giant Slayers. One big inclusion in your side there. We see Rosie in the squad. Obviously, one that's been talked about a lot during the week with a move to the midfield. Happy with his output there, and hoping that he'll obviously continue that with a bit better conditions to deal with in future.
Yeah, certainly hope so. It was a real toss-up this week, what to do with old Tristan Xeri. We couldn't really get him in the midfield, which was unfortunate. So we were sort of left with the decision to go either DeGoey, Duncan, or just back in Rosie's role. So with the news of DeGoey, and I don't really like Mitch Duncan and what he's been doing. So I sort of, no offense, Mitch, I'm sort of, just backed in Rosie. Hopefully it pays off. He looked all right on the weekend. The roll was there. Just the Cairns slippery slope. I can't even say it. It was that slippery. Just not good conditions, really. So we'll see. A few coaches did that move, but we'll wait and see, boys. We've got 8 minutes to go. So let's get stuck in to this week's matchups. And there's a few good ones here, boys. Once again, we'll prioritise the good matchups, The Crouching Lions up against the Sisterhoods, boys. Couple of words on this one. This is a really important game for both sides.
Yeah, very tasty looking at this matchup. A few big players on either end as well, which can go large. So Sicily we've seen go massive. Kelly's coming into some form. Obviously, Gawn, we know what he can do. But then on Crouching Lions side, we've got Oliver and McRae, who, yeah, again, can go huge on their day. So expect it to be a really tight matchup. Be looking to see what each side can do at the trade table with some of those rookies that need to be moved on in Rochelle and Hobbs. Yeah, be a tough one, but I'll go with the Sisterhoods after a massive week.
Massive week here for the Sisterhoods to really prove their credentials, I think, against a really big team. If this matchup was last week, they would have won by 200. So based on that, I'll be backing him in quite comfortably. I think it's a couple too many problems for the Lions to overcome this week. So go the Hoods.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is an important game for the Crouching Lions. I think probably been on the slide a little bit in the last couple of weeks. And, probably one of the first times in a few years there's actually a couple of issues sort of arising to be fixed, which I'm sure they will be. But, I think the Sisterhoods will win this week.
Excellent. All right, let's get a quick prediction. Rabs, you're up against the midfielders coming off a big win. I'm going to back in your boys, Rabs, to get the job done, although a bit of a danger game.
Yes, I hope we win, Scott. Under no illusion that Todd's team can pull out a big score. And, my side hasn't really fired, even though we're going okay on the table. It's just sort of been plodding along. So, definitely a danger game, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I'll go with Rabs here. I feel like he's got quite a few consistent performers on his side. Less so than some of the other teams we see with guys that go massive one week and bust the next. So, I think, Rabs will get the chocolates this week.
All right. Quick word, King Kunta up against the Burp and Burt Burtons. Surely the Burtons continue on, boys.
Burtons.
I think so.
Burton's all the way. All right. Interesting matchup, boys. Hoffleberry FC coming off a loss last week up against the high-flying, as we've heard tonight, the Glen Mountain Fan Club and Sean Newell. Going to be a super tight one here, boys. What are we thinking?
Yeah, plenty to digest in the unique department. I think having played Sean last weekend, I really like the makeup of his side at the moment, so I'll side with him this week.
I'll be doing the same. Zach Williams as an inclusion, that'll be good for him. Get a real boost of his 64s. So, based on that, I think Sean quite comfortably, really. Wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. Sean certainly up and about. It'll be interesting to see how a different preparation this weekend affects the Glen Mountains, but I think they should get the chocolates.
All right, excellent, boys. Let's move on to Team GC up against the B Sharps. Both sides sort of down the bottom half of the table, but I'm predicting Team GC to get the win here, boys.
Yes. Again, there's plenty to look at here between both sides. Quite a few uniques, which I'll go with Team GC.
Really tough one. Playing Dale a couple of weeks ago, he was quite formidable, but then last week produced that. So hard to pick. Having Dunkley as a unique is really bizarre. And first time I think I've seen that this year for Dale over Zach. But on the flip side, Gawn's a unique for Zach. So flip a coin, Dale for me.
All right, let's move on just because of time. Huge matchup here, boys. One of the games of the round. Two top 8 sides, phenomenal, up against, my God, your Liberatore, Hughes side. What do we think here, boys? What's going to happen this weekend?
important bounce back, I think, for the Phenomenals. Just a little bit on the rails, I think. So we'll see how they respond. But two teams who should be around the mark at the end of the year, you'd think. So a ripping matchup. In saying that, I'll probably take Feno's side, but Ben Obbs is a name he'll have to deal with when you talk. So we'll go that way. Why not?
Yeah, I'm probably leaning slightly towards the my God, your Liberatores at the moment, but probably it's a hard matchup to call, to be honest. Quite a few sort of rookie or sort of mid-price players that really depends on what happens at the trade table. But I might slightly lean towards the gods.
Very good, boys. Quick one here. The Keys up against Smith's Cripps. Another one that could be a bit of a danger game for the Cripps this week, with the Keys showing some good form lately. What do we think is going to happen really quickly, because we are pushing time?
Danger game, but I'm going Cripps.
I'm on the Keys in an upset here. I reckon he's got a couple of players who can go big, and just back him in. Why not?
Why not?
Sam will win the next one.
He will. Sam's up against, total eclipse of the heart. Definitely Sam to bounce back, boys. Move on. All right, we've got our last matchup. It is, of course, first versus third. It's a nice matchup between myself and Ben. Ben's going to be bloody hard to beat. He's got a good side. Hopefully no issues for him to deal with this week. It should be a ripping contest for boys.
Yep, two very strong sides. Yep, you go, Tom.
It'll be very close. I think Scott proved last week that he's got that giant killing capability. So, we know what he can do, and that's anything. But I just think that, the Brayshaw, Steele, and Mills combo has the potential to go huge. So, I'll side with Ben again.
It is a good combo. Very good combo.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think clearly not much separating with not a huge amount of pods, but based on the pods and what you'd expect to happen, I think Ben will probably just get the chocolates. But with that many pods, it doesn't take much to go haywire for a change there. So it'll be tight, clearly.
Any words, Ben, ahead of this weekend?
No, just good luck. Hopefully.
Yes. Likewise, and good luck to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Please keep watching. I noticed the viewership last week was a little bit down, so you bastards keep watching, because we don't do this we do this for nothing. Actually, we do. So we always appreciate your thoughts. Not just the same people. We want different people. Contribute. And on that note, good night.